to research sexual minorities and how this population is impacted by addiction. I'm interested in this population because I haven't done a lot of research on it, on the LGBTQ community, and I do actually have a few clients that I'm working with right now who are a part of this community, and have been working through shame with them because of bigotry that they have faced in their personal lives. So definitely wanted to take this opportunity and see how addiction is impacting them. Quick outline of the presentation. So during the time that I spent researching, obviously wanted to take a look at the history and just kind of recognize what this population has been through. And just only until in more recent years have they gained the same legal rights as the sexual majority. And homosexuality was pathologized up until 1973, and transsexualism is still identified in the DSM. I also was shocked to find out that they are the most targeted group of minorities in America for hate crimes. So common terms used, heterosexism and then homophobia, obviously, are wanted to take time to define those. And throughout this class, we've been talking about misattributions and just assumptions that are made because of belonging to a certain population or culture. And just looking at my own misattributions growing up and being a part of a family that's very conservative Christian, unfortunately, I myself have identified, having a few misattributions towards this population. So the minority stress theory is something that was developed for all minority groups, not just LGBT, but basically it's identifying that this chronic stress of being in a minority group is very isolating. There's a lot of pressure, and it therefore makes these minorities more vulnerable to things like substance abuse for coping. So I did read an article specifically devoted to applying the minority stress to LGBT, and it defines minority stress as the relationship between minority and dominant values and resultant conflict with the social environment experienced by minority group members. So once again, lots of prejudice. The sexual minority has expectations of being rejected, and it just even fears actually deterred the LGBT community from seeking treatment, just because there's that risk of facing more discrimination and prejudice in the treatment process by providers. So studies do indicate overall just higher levels of substance use disorders compared to the sexual majority. Unfortunately, not a ton of reliable information according to SAMHSA, just because it's only been in recent years that there's been specific focus on the sexual minority group and subgroups. First nationally representative federally collected comprehensive study between the sexual minority and majority was in 2015. And there was a lot of good data from SAMHSA about different subgroups within this population and findings there as far as even types of drugs that are used within the subgroups. So between gender, gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender. So there was specific data for each of those. To just give some general statistics from the study. And basically across the board, the sexual minority group was higher percentage-wise in regards to usage. Also, findings indicated that the sexual minority adults were more likely to have substance use disorders. Unfortunately, not surprising, once again, when you consider the pressure that they're under, being so isolated. Studies have also indicated that the co-occurring disorders are higher as well for the LGBTQ community compared to the sexual majority. And just kind of moving into treatment, studies have found that a significant number of counselors in substance abuse treatment programs endorse negative attitudes toward LGBT clients, while others simply fail to consider the unique needs of this population, so just not being sensitive. These factors can have a significant negative impact on treatment effectiveness and have encouraged many providers to develop LGBTQ-specific services. So there's definitely a lot more focus based as far as what that can look like. And SAMHSA once again came up with a great provider's manual for this, specific considerations for even subgroups in regards to the provision of treatment for those in recovery. Here are just a few of those extra considerations. One in particular I wanted to point out was the sexual orientation and gender identity one. So even just considering bathrooms for transgender individuals who are in treatment or in residential treatment, just being sensitive to asking them, which gender they identify as and allowing them to stay with that gender when they reside in the treatment center. Certain things like that can be easily overlooked. And then a kind of like a scale was developed, anywhere from LGBT tolerant when you're looking for treatment providers for addiction. So anywhere from being tolerant, which is basically just being aware of the population, all the way to LGBT affirmative programs. So there are multiple websites out there where you can look at the listing and kind of identify based upon that search how friendly a treatment center is to the LGBTQ community. It was really cool to find out that the Pride Institute, which is located in Minnesota, is the nation's first and leading provider of residential and outpatient treatment programs devoted to treating addiction and the mental health needs of the community, with a wide range, anywhere from residential to a family therapy program that's provided through this institute. And references. Thank you.